Okay guys, so often I get asked, what is it you do before a match? How do you prepare for a match? In terms of, you've been allocated a table and you've got sort of 15-20 minutes just to hit a few balls around. How would you use that time? Now, as you've seen in plenty of videos, my game is all based on cue ball control, the natural lines, the clock face, and every table that we play on, the cushions react slightly differently, because if a table is brand new, the cushions are what we call sliding, which means the rubbers haven't been sort of bedded in yet. So what happens with that is when you see that the cushions and you believe that they're not true, a lot of it is the tables are new, the cushions are new, so the new rubbers. And what that does is when the cue ball hits the rubber, it's got a little bit of resistance. So it kind of squeezes and then it lets go. So it comes off at a slightly different line, or a different line to what it would be if the rubbers had been worn in. So if the table had been recovered, say, I don't know, a couple of months before, and the rubbers have now been worn in because obviously they've been played. So now when it hits, you don't get this resistance because the rubbers have firmed up. So now it comes off a lot truer than what it does when the table is playing absolutely brand new and firstly recovered. Now with that, the cue ball control is obviously going to change. The response and reaction of the cushions is going to change. So what I like to do is, I like to set up this little drill. And what I do is I put a ball here, any random ball. These balls effectively aren't in play. And I'll put the cue ball here, and I'll just kind of come 2/3 cushions to get onto the 8 ball. And so I'll deem this to be in and around, somewhere around about sort of 9 o'clock on the cue ball, and play the shot. Okay, and what that does is it starts to give me a guide of how the rails are playing. So then what I'd do is I'd make it a little bit more trickier for myself by making the gap a little bit smaller. And again, kind of any random ball, I'll have a look at this situation and go, okay, so this is more of a this is more of a 10 o'clock on the cue ball. And again, through the gap and onto the 8 ball. And if I start to get really sort of confident and I sort of really start to get a little bit brave, I'll have sort of this going on. And what it sort of does is it starts to give me confidence in my cue ball control, and starts to give me confidence in the way that the rails are playing. So again, this is probably kind of more of a sort of an inside 10, effectively. Oh, just caught the yellow that time, but just about got there. And so on and so on and so on. And if I'm really feeling good, you may see me get to a stage where, I may have something like that going on. And a ball here. And kind of trying to get through this gap here. And it just sort of gives you just a little bit of confidence to appreciate kind of how the rubbers are playing, how the rails are playing. And that gives me a lot of confidence that when I step into the first frame of the match, I understand what the rails are doing, I understand how the cloth's playing. And kind of, yeah, so that would be the first thing that I would do. The second thing that I would do is I would take a look at how are the pockets playing, how kind of forgiving or not forgiving are the pockets. And I'd start off nice and steady, where I'd play the ball down the rail and kind of just sort of ease myself in. I'd play sort of two or three balls on this rail, kind of just, as I said, nice and steady. And then I'd sort of come over to this rail again and kind of just sort of get a feel for how the pockets are playing. Again, if the table's brand new and if the rails are new and the cloth's new, the pockets do play a little bit more forgiving. You can get away with kind of getting a few sort of ones that wriggle and sort of go in. And again, and I do this on each of the rails for sort of 10 or 15 minutes or so, just to kind of, again, just to get a feel for what's what. And then I would loosen up a little bit and start to sort of cue the ball a little bit better. And then I'd sort of start to hit it a little bit firmer. Again, just to build up that confidence, you know, because it doesn't matter what level that you play at, potting balls down the rail at speed does give you confidence. You know, and then again, just sort of try and just kind of just crank it up a little bit, where you get to the stage where, you know, you start to really kind of hit them down there, you know, really sort of started to loosen up a little bit. My little party piece, certainly when I've played matches against Chris before, you know, Chris Mellin, we'll have a little sort of a little challenge amongst ourselves, shall we say. We used to like to sort of have a little battle of who had the most cue power, you know, and all that, you know. So if we had a 10 or 15 minute sort of warm up, even played against each other sometimes, we didn't really care about stuff like that. We'd maybe put something like this up and sort of try and get on the 8 ball. You know, something like that, just to let you stroke out, just to kind of get your arm nice and loose so that you're not tense. You don't want to go into the match all tense and stiff and, you know, kind of nervous, and just shots like that just give you some confidence, give you a chance to let your arm out and time the ball a little bit. And then the other one is, you know, it's just to sort of check the rails, just to kind of, even with the cue ball, even just kind of just hitting the cue ball around. You know, kind of going, has that sort of gone where I felt like it was going to go? Are the rubbers playing a little bit softer? The rubbers playing a little bit harder? You know, you may even, you know, kind of set, you know, 1 or 2 doubles up and kind of get okay, so that's playing a little bit square. Or just various, just general things, just to get a bit of a feel for the table and essentially, you know, just get your arm going. One that I did really like as well, which is a confidence one. Welcome everyone. So recently I was invited to the Sam Leisure showroom, and I often get asked a lot about the table. What table am I playing on? It doesn't look like a Supreme, etc. Now it isn't a Supreme. It's actually a Sam Atlantic champion table. We will do a review to tell you all about the different things, the different spec and all the positives about the table. And so yeah, keep a lookout for that. A big thanks to Sam Leisure for sponsoring the channel, and we welcome you to look at the video, and hopefully you'll love the table, just like we do. Pocket liners, you know, a lot of the time you see this kind of elevated pocket that comes up, and sometimes you're queuing across it, you know, and it makes it a little bit awkward, and you know, the shot's difficult in itself, you know, queuing off the rail without having to elevate your cue to kind of queue over the plastic effectively. Is there something that you could you know, enlighten us with that?
Yeah. So the pocket liners themselves have been designed specifically for this table. They're not generic in any way. They're just for the Sam Atlantic table. So yeah, you're right. The profile is lower, which definitely helps from the playing perspective. Yep. Instead of rubber, it's also a really tough vinyl as well. And one thing I'm sure you've noticed as well is there's no pins at all inside this liner.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The pocket liner itself is screwed into the top rail from the underneath. So you've got a lot tight, well, not tighter from playing perspective, but it's a better pocket liner, and it's designed to guide the balls as well into the gully boot. So it's got quite a few features there.
Right, yeah, and with that in mind as well, obviously the balls don't get chipped when they're getting fired against the screws or whatever, or the nails holding it.
Takes away all of that kind of, takes away the possibility of that happening.
And I guess the fact of obviously the ball fired into the pocket at a speed is going to accept it. You're not going to get any kind of funny kind of outcomes of balls popping out and all that kind of thing,
no,
you know.
Yeah, that's correct. You certainly shouldn't. They have been designed to encourage the ball to go down that gully boot and then obviously down the ball out, as it were.
Right, okay. And in terms of the inside of the tab, which we will look at a little bit later, but very little noise. What's going on inside there? As I said, we will look a little bit more, but can you just give us
100%, mate. So inside the table, it's got noise reducing systems. So everything, one key feature is everything is just a lot more robust. Everything's it's tight. There's no bagginess to it, so there's less vibrations. But it's also got that silent system basically inside. So any area that would make noise, particularly like the central ball run, in this case is carpeted, it's foamed, it's not noise reduced. It's just it subdues that noise, as it were. So it's a lot nicer to play on. Worth adding at probably this point, this is the champion version of the Atlantic, which is the home version. Thus you've got these features, because obviously in a home setting you don't necessarily want to hear every ball travel. Absolutely.
It's a very, very well-known drill where effectively we just basically put the balls around the cushions, and there's two sort of levels really to this drill. The first level is to complete the drill by potting all the balls down the rail, not being able to move them, not being able to play doubles, not being able to cannon any balls. Or there's what I call the sort of the intermediate sort of beginner drill. So that would mean that you could pocket that ball and kind of cannon that ball. You know, you could then play this ball here, for example, and when playing this ball, we achieve the same thing effectively. So trying to kind of just sort of chip that ball out, and that would be more sort of the beginner intermediate, but still good for cue ball control, kind of releasing the balls off the rails. You know, it's still a nice drill for that, for any standard really, because same shot again here. So effectively we're always kind of using this one, you know, to kind of come up and, you know, and so on and so on and so on. And if you have to double a ball, you have to double a ball. But that would be what I would be deemed to kind of be the beginner intermediate attempt at that challenge. And then in doing the same thing again, setting the balls up again, we would effectively what we'd do is set the balls up exactly the same, but what I would deem to be the advanced attempt would be that you're not allowed to cannon any balls, and all balls have to be pocketed down the rail, which in all fairness is a lot difficult, but the difficulty really depends on the quality of the table that you play on. This Sam Atlantic champion table, you know, plays so nice that, you know, you can basically play the balls down the rails with ease, you know, and so on and so on and so on. So that would be deemed to be what I would call the advanced attempt at that drill. And yeah, so that was what I'd be looking at doing before a match. Thanks for watching. Press subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.